Hey folks, welcome to another Thursday Live. So today I wanted to talk about what happens when things go wrong. So as I said, welcome. We try and do these things every Thursday. Yeah, I try and do it around the same time, but to be honest, I'm not particularly great at that. It's just whenever I turn on the camera. So if you're seeing this live, great. If you're not, hopefully you're checking out the recording. So yesterday I was doing some stuff around the house. I was trying to open some windows and oops, my hand went right through a window. Now I don't want to gross people out too much, but I'll just put this on the screen for a couple seconds. That's stitches there. So I had to go to the hospital, had to get some stitches. Needless to say, it wasn't a great day after spending, to be honest, wasn't too bad. When you go to the emergency room in a busy city, you expect to sometimes spend half the day, especially if it's not that important. Like if it's not a life threatening thing, if there are other people before you who have more life threatening things, they're going to be, you're basically going to wait potentially for hours to be seen. But it wasn't a long wait. Four stitches, got it done. But of course, in the past when this would happen, I would just basically just fall off, right? So yesterday in the morning, before all this happened, I sort of made a vow is a strong word, but I sort of made a decision that I was going to be more strict than I had been for the past couple of weeks. Carbs down to zero, butter, increase the butter. That's my trick to sort of keep the carbs down to zero, and yeah, and meat and butter. That was going to be it for yesterday, right? Now, when that happened when this kind of stuff would happen in the past, I would always reach for the chocolate, and in fact, I did reach for a chocolate bar yesterday, and I had a bite, but then I put the bite down because it didn't feel like it was what I needed, right? But on a different day, I wouldn't have put it down. On a different day, I would have finished the whole candy bar, etc., etc. So I think the first thing to say when this sort of thing happens, what we want compassion. We want to sort of say, I think there's a tendency that we all have to beat ourselves up. Something bad happened, you fell off the wagon, now it's all over, you can't do anything, you're a useless person. We have these voices in our head. Everyone has a different version of it, so I don't want to pretend that I know what yours sounds like, but mine can be pretty mean, right? So I think the first thing, my trick for teaching this sort of self-compassion, or for learning this sort of self-compassion myself, is imagine that you were talking to someone else. So it wasn't me who put my hand through a window and had to get four stitches. Imagine that my best friend put his hand through a window, or her hand through a window, and she had to get four stitches. What would I say to her or to him? And I wouldn't say anything mean, right? I would say like, man, that sucks. But if you're serious about your health goals, then it's your decision. If you want to fall off for a day, that's fine, but do it deliberately. Fall off for a day and then get back on if you want. If you don't want, don't fall off. So that's the first thing to say. I think the second thing to say is, if you do fall off, if you do leave the program for whatever reason, if you do forget about your health goals, unfortunately, I'd already been in the gym. One of the most annoying things about this injury is that the doctor basically says I can't do my usual routines and so on. So I'll try and see what I can do. I think I can probably get away with doing some qigong and sort of less focused kind of exercises. So I'll do other things, but I can't do my usual push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups and all that kind of stuff, right? So anyway, that's life. But then if you fall off, I think the next thing to think is that, okay, I fell off for a day. That doesn't mean I failed, right? It means I didn't have the most productive day, but I'm going to get back on. A day is not a lifetime, right? You can have a bad day, that's okay, but we need to get back on, right? And when we get back on, I think the most important thing is to focus on those goals. What are you trying to do in terms of your health, in terms of your life? What are you trying to obtain that you don't currently have? And by the way, what else will you get? For example, once you have, I don't know, the kind of physique that you want to have, once you're free of medications, what else are you going to get out of life, right? What else will become accessible to you? What else will become available to you that you don't currently have access to, right? And that could be in the career, that could be in terms of romance, that could be in any aspect of your life. But I think what we often find is that when one aspect of your health improves, everything improves. When one aspect of your life improves, everything improves. So focus on those goals. What do you want, and what do you need to do? What are the disciplines you need to have? What are the habits you need to have to get back on it, to get back on the horse, right? To really focus on the day by day and not let one bad decision or one bad day derail what you wanted to do. So some food for thought. Yeah, I have to, I have to heal for the next couple of days. By the way, if ever you have an injury, maybe I'll make a blog post about this. But there are things we can do to speed recovery. Increasing our consumption of eggs, that seems to be an important one. There's a paper that I read a while ago about increased consumption of eggs for severe burn victims and how it really, really helped those severe burn victims heal. That could be one easy thing. The other thing is red light therapy. Red light seems to increase wound healing, if I understand the literature well. Haven't done a deep dive into that recently. Maybe I need to do another deep dive into that one and write up my thoughts. But yeah, so there are things we can do that will actually, things we can incorporate during the healing process that will assist the healing. But again, that's temporary stuff. We want to focus on the longer term. What is it we really want to do? How are we going to achieve those goals? What are the habits we're going to cultivate to achieve those goals? So thanks so much. Leave your thoughts, comments, questions down below. I read every comment. I try and respond. People have been, I know that we're doing better here. I have more clients. I have more business. Things are doing well, but I still read every comment I see. I read it myself and I respond myself. If sometimes people are just whatever making comments that don't need a response, but if you're asking a question, I definitely will respond to the question. So do feel free to leave questions down below. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next one.